welcome everybody. This session is called How to Keep a Secure Online Portfolio of Your Learning and Development at University. And as the title says, throughout the session, I'll explain a little bit about keeping an online portfolio. My name is Robert Chmielewski, and I work for the Information Services at the University of Edinburgh. Those of you who are new to the university, like completely new, the Information Services Department is dealing with all types of technologies that we use for learning and teaching, libraries, and all sorts of other things. But in my area, in my little corner on information services, we support um, online learning tools such as Learn, PebblePad, Turnitin, and loads of others. But today we'll be talking about a tool called PebblePad, which is our tool of choice at this university when it comes to keeping an online portfolio. So today's session will last about 30 minutes and we'll cover a bunch of basics about the PebblePad ePortfolio system. And I'll also try to quickly explain to hopefully all of you, although I appreciate that you all come from different backgrounds and you all come from different areas of study, different levels, a little bit different levels. But I'll try to make it as relevant as possible to everybody in terms of why you'd want to use it. Also, I'll show you how to log in and kind of get stuck in practically. I'll also show you a little bit of in terms of ideas and examples. So hopefully there'll be enough to keep you going after our today's session, and there'll be a short time for questions and answers. Um, because we've only got 30 minutes, I'd like to kind of focus on the questions maybe towards the end of the session, because if we kind of start focusing on them throughout the session, we may never get to the end. So let's just start with this big question. What is the PebblePad ePortfolio system? It's a good question. It's a tool that we offer to all students. It's secure, it's personal, private. Everything you do inside that tool remains hidden from everybody else unless you share it with others. So everything that you upload, or as I suggested in my little list here, write reflectively in there, will remain hidden and will remain private unless you decide to share it with others. And it's really good for collecting digital artifacts. As you study, you're able to upload all your assignments, copies of your assignments, um, little notes, little reminders, snapshots of things you were doing, um, and you could then write it, write something reflectively about it. And there's a bunch of templates that PebblePad provides you with, or you could also leave it there and then go back after a while, because the way that reflection works in general is about revisiting and looking back and realizing how much you've grown, how much you've developed. So PebblePad is like a secure store which allows you to keep things digitally online securely, but also open some of this stuff up to others, share it as a presentation, as a blog, as an online portfolio, as the name says. So hopefully that kind of makes it clear what PebblePad is. And as I said at the beginning, it's available to all of our students, obviously at no cost. It's accessible um, through a simple login procedure that's applicable to all our application, and I'll show that later. Um, I mentioned a little bit about reflection, and Pebblebat comes with a really nice collection of built-in templates. And like I said before, this allows you to take that unique snapshot of where you are at the moment. Okay, so even after today's session, you could go into PebblePad and click on the activity template or achievement template and complete it just to record the fact that you've gone through one of your first sessions as a postgraduate student at the university. And in a few months' time, when you log into PebblePad and you see that old note that you recorded back from September 2020, it'll take you back, and hopefully there'll be a lot of reflection going on in your minds, because that's how it all works. So it's about recording things, keeping things structured using the templates, or just free flowing, as I'll show you later. But um, but the tool is kind of geared up for supporting that kind of activity, and it's all about progressing through your learning journey. That's what it kind of relates to, mostly, because that's why you're here, to to be part of that important journey. It could be because I mentioned some of these more open ideas that you can, you yourself can log in and do stuff on your own, without being encouraged or forced in a way by anyone else. But there are also a group of activities, depending on what you're studying, whereby you'll be asked to go to PebblePad and complete something because it's part of your curriculum. Okay, so these could be workbooks or templates or submissions which you'll submit using the simple file upload procedure, but you'll receive your feedback through PebblePad. Most of you will use Learn, which is our virtual learning environment, but there are courses, there are activities across the programs that you're studying which may rely on some of its parts, um, on PebblePad. So that's the kind of PebblePad usage that's strongly linked to your curriculum. So as you can already see, there are two ways of using PebblePad. You either do it fully on your own without any external prompts, or in some cases, it'll be part of your curriculum, and you'll receive little templates or workbooks to complete in PebblePad. And it's all supposed to be super simple and easy, because that's usually the experience with the system. So just again, just to remind me, not only it's accessible because you're a university student and you've got the online account with the university, but it's also accessible, on most, if not all, browsers, but also most devices. And there's the PebblePad application on the Android store and Apple stores. So it's pretty much well covered, regardless of which type of a device you use. You can use it through a desktop, laptop, tablet, mobile phone, and some of you will be also using it again as part of your curriculum on your mobile phones, for example, completing small templates whilst you're on a placement. But many of you will be able to use it through tablets and desktops, in a kind of less curriculum structured way as well. So, like I said quite a few times already, that it's supposed to be straightforward and simple, and I'm giving you these screenshots, and they're at the moment pretty disconnected, because this is just to give you an overview of what it looks like. But in the next few slides, I'll give you a more kind of detailed and structured how-to recipe in terms of how to use it. Um, but let's just remain reassured that this system is very simple to use. So when you log in and when you start looking at things that you can create, you'll see a simple to use lists of built-in templates and built-in tools that will allow you to create something less structured, but also things that are very richly composed and like I said, enriched with all types of pictures, media, videos to showcase your abilities or to present something in terms of presenting online. Because many of you might have heard of PowerPoint presentations, but in PebblePad, you'll be able to create online presentations like mini websites almost without having to know how to create a website. So, um, in terms of giving you some simple ideas on how to get started with PebblePad, assuming you're ready, um, let us look at how to log in first. So, as a university student, you'll go to a student portal which is called MyEd, and it's myed.ed.ac.uk. And once in there, if you look at this for the Studies tab, you'll see the PebblePad button inside that Studies tab. If you prefer not to go through MyEd because you'd like to go onto PebblePad directly, you can always type in pebblepad.co.uk/Edinburgh and you'll end up being asked to log into PebblePad just as well as you would have with MyEd route. So now we know how to log in. Let us look what it looks like once you've logged in. So it's supposed to be a simple interface, and it actually tells you straight away how to start, because if you like to get creative, for example, the button you need to click on is called Get Creative. I would also like to, if on the left hand side, when you see my picture, my name, and right underneath there's a button called Assets. So this is where all your assets will be located, and by assets I mean all the things that you upload using the upload new, for example, which is on the right hand side towards the bottom. So everything you create, everything you design, everything you do will end up in your asset store. Just like people have collections of files, and I don't know, on their Facebook or Twitter or elsewhere. On PebblePad, it'll sit in your assets. The big difference between PebblePad and social media, though, is the fact that PebblePad is fully personal, fully private, and no one can see things unless you specifically share something like an individual file, individual asset, as they're called in PebblePad. So now you know how to log in. Now you know more or less what the interface looks like. Let us show you how to get creative. So the promise for this session was to equip you with some ways of recording your development at the university. So my first suggestion would be, why not create an online learning journal, which some call a blog. And this blog, again, will differ from many of the blogs you might have seen in the past, because this blog will be private and personal by default. So no one will be able to see it again unless you specifically share it. So once you've clicked on the Get Creative button, you'll see all these options here. And towards the far right end, you'll see the Create a Blog button. Once you've clicked on it, that's it. You've created a blog, and you can customize the title, you can customize the description, you can change the banners. It's all super easy to do because you see these big buttons. I mean, it's all pretty dynamic and free flowing. There shouldn't be cluttered or clunky. But the main thing is, how do you contribute to the blog is by just clicking on the blue button at the bottom that says add to your blog, and then you select the add a post. If you prefer to use templates, so like I said, things that would structure your input more, like achievements or action plans or all types of things that are built in, you just go for use a template. If you prefer to add an existing thing that you might have uploaded in the past, go for the add an existing asset. But given the fact that most people start with adding a post, just click on add a post, and you'll be able to edit your post. I mean, those of you who are familiar with with the internet, I'm pretty sure most of us are. It is shouldn't be a problem from here on. Because all you need to do is write some text. You can add images, you can add videos, audio. You can embed things. So you can embed all the most popular services that are out there, like YouTube and Vimeo or Flickr, all these external sources for your content. But you could also embed something from our university's media portal called Media Hopper. So these options are in there, hiding under the embed button whilst you're working on your post. So this is how simple creating a blog and starting yourself on that kind of recording of your journey um, path. So you just log into PebblePad, select the Get Creative section, and then, for example, start a blog. You are able to share it with others, like I said, because it's initially private, but you're able to share it. So once you're finished writing your post or a couple of posts and you're ready to share your blog with others, if that's your intention, obviously, you go back to your asset store, you click on the blog that you've created, and then and there will be a bunch of options at the bottom asking you whether you'd like to share. And if you click on share, you'll be given a range of options. Those of you who are asked by your course tutors to keep a blog will be able to submit it to something called Atlas. But the rest of you will be able to share it with people, so individuals, which you can search for, or more openly with the web, where you'll be given two options, whether you want this blog to be searchable using Google, for example, or whether you want an open link that's not searchable at all. So these are the sharing options. I hope this is pretty straightforward and clear to understand. But let me just switch to another screen when I'm showing you something slightly different. So remember when I was displaying the Get Creative selection, and the options we went for was the blog. Um, there were also another options, and one of them was called the portfolio. So this portfolio tool, which again is built into PebblePad and hiding under the Get Creative section, allows you to create a presentation which looks almost like a website, and you can add your banner as well. You can add your new pages, as you can see towards the top section of this screen, and each page can represent a different section, talking about different stuff. So you can see the potential here for something that can replace, for example, a PowerPoint presentation, because this is more flexible, because you can share it online. It'll embed itself everywhere. It'll look nice on all types of devices, and it's also um, deep enough in terms of its structure to make it easy for reading content. So you can split it into different chapters, different sections, and add all types of multimedia, just like you do with the blog. So this is slightly more advanced than the blog, uh, but uh, but but just as simple to use as the blog. So advanced in terms of the features that it offers, but just as simple to use as the blog tool inside the PebblePad platform, because that's the subject of our session today. So let me just quickly skip and show you an example of what that portfolio presentation may look like. This is an example from the one of the American universities. Um, This one's from Australia, another one from Australia. And you need to bear in mind that PebblePad, it's not just a tool that's used here at the University of Edinburgh. PebblePad as an online portfolio platform is one of the most popular of its kind, and it's used very widely across the UK, but also in America and Australia as well, and few other countries. But when it comes to the UK, as you move around or speak to others across the sector here in higher education, you'll see that most universities or a lot of universities are using PebblePad. So by learning how to use it, you're not learning something that's a very niche tool that you never have a need to use again. It's something that's quite widely used and popular enough so that in my opinion, it justifies the time spent on learning how to use it. Because it could be one of these transferable skills that you develop. So let's just assume that after today's session, you created a blog and you continued with your blog and you used a lot of templates and you became a very kind of engaged user of the system, and some of your courses asked you to use their resources through PebblePad to complete your assignments, for example. Let's just imagine that. But what happens when you graduate? Um, well, you could keep your PebblePad beyond graduation. That's kind of good news because again, it justifies the fact that you've invested time and effort in developing your portfolio because you're not going to lose it. You'll be able to keep it beyond graduation at no cost. And in order to do that, and again, there are instructions online, but it's just as easy as going into your menu in PebblePad and choosing the free alumni accounts option, and you'll be transferred onto your free alumni account. So that's that's almost all from me in terms of the presentation. I appreciate that I was trying to pack quite a lot of stuff into 22 minutes, but these sessions are lasting for 30 minutes and they're supposed to be sweet and short and giving you just an overview of how to achieve this particular topic. And just finally, if you have any questions after the session, because there'll still be a few minutes for questions right now, but after the session, if you could just email is.helpline@edacuk.com